On today's show, we're talking about how to grow your beard from scratch. Hi guys, and welcome to episode number 7 of the Elliot Answers show. If we're just meeting, my name is Elliot Forbes and this channel is dedicated to hair, beard and grooming tips for the modern man. So if that's something you're interested in, you might want to consider subscribing. So today's question is, how do I start growing my beard? Now obviously with beards becoming a lot more trendier in the last few years, this is a common problem that a lot of guys have, and knowing where to start by growing a beard or how you go about it, it's something that we get a lot of questions about in the barbershop. You get a lot of guys come in and asking how to do it, because although the idea of just growing it and just letting it go is quite a simple idea, and obviously doing that is very simple, but actually making it look good and maintaining it in a way that doesn't make you look homeless or look ridiculous is a big challenge. And if you don't know those things, then yeah, you need to go and ask those questions. So first off, what you need to picture of with a beard is the length of the beard always comes from the chin. So whatever the length you have in through there is basically the length of the beard. Now when you think about it, hair grows at different speeds depending on where it is. So it's obviously it goes finer through here, grows heavier in through here, it might grow weaker in through the chin area. So basically you need to readjust the beard for whatever the length is that you have through the chin. That is always where the length of it is, and then can be tidied up depending on where the length of the chin is. So once you know that, then the key areas that you need to focus on to tidy up whilst you're growing it are key area number one is underneath the neck. Key area number 2 would be then down the sideburn area, and this area when you're looking straight on, which tends to get some width. Another problem area will be the moustache. Another key area would then be the cheek line. So if we start underneath, when it's growing quite short, and when it's still short and you're in very much a growing phase, if you were then to put like a very just clean line in straight away underneath there, it's very easy for it to look a little bit too defined or a little bit too graphic and a little bit sharp. So really, there's not a problem with that, but you need to decide what sort of person you are, whether you want it to be a clean line or whether you want it to be faded out. When it's shorter, I always lean towards fading it out, because I think that gives it more of a natural look. It's not long, so it doesn't necessarily need to have like pressed in to get rid of lots of hair underneath in through there. And if the beard is still short in through the chin, it should be fairly easy to be able to fade out through there, because you're fading into a fairly short length. So obviously with that, you will need mini trimmers and like some sort of clippers to be able to then take this area shorter, starting off at the very shortest at the very bottom and then working up in increments into the length that you have into the beard. Obviously then if you did want to go more of a sharper line in through there, then what you really want to focus on, a problem that a lot of guys when they're putting a clean line in is they'll drop it way down and it'll end up being like very smiley, or they'll take it up way too high and it just sits on the jawline. Obviously you want to take the jawline into account, but what you want to do is when you look straight on, when you're doing it, you want to work back in a straight line from here. So I know that you don't want the hair to drop down from when you're looking forward, face on. So I know that when I'm looking in the mirror, I would go straight back through there, and then that's where it would start. I know that from there, then that's where I could put a line in, and you want to then work out into the corners of wherever the jawline is. So you don't want to feel as though it's getting onto the roundness, or you don't want it to drop down too low. If it drops down too low, that then gives the illusion of a double chin. That gives excess weight that's just sat there unnecessarily. It's not actually part of your beard, it's just hair that's just sat there making you look probably a little bit chubbier and a little bit heavier than what you actually are. So yeah, working back straight into there and then working into the corners. You want to feel as though there is a corner in through there. A lot of guys will sort of work up and take that corner off. And what that does is that then really drops the chin down. So it elongates the face in not really a very nice way actually. You want to be working into more of a corner in through there, and then that will drop down into it. The next problem area, like I mentioned, is then in through the sideburn area, because what you'll do is you'll start growing it, you'll look into the mirror, and this starts growing out and you start to feel really quite fat. It feels as though it really widens your face out. So the way that you can then eradicate that is just, if it's still short, is by just fading that out as well through there. So you can take those clippers, just trim down that area. If it gets a little bit longer, what you can do then is get a comb, pull all the hairs back to wherever the natural line is, and then you can then nip them off with scissors, take them off with a mini trimmer or clippers, whatever it is that you have to be able to take them down. Now you might have to get a partner or a friend to be able to do that, but pulling them back to the natural line and then taking it off, then when you comb it down, it sits a lot flatter. So that then reduces the weight and the width in through there whilst it's still growing out. The next then problem area with the moustache is that you'll find that these then start creeping over the lip. It starts to feel really heavy, really bushy. So what you want to do then is just get a comb them down, and then to the lip line, just nip it up across there. You don't want to go too high above the lip line, because then it then almost exposes your face as opposed to the actual moustache area. So it then almost looks like there's a gap in between it, because not everyone's hairs cover all the way down to the very lip. If I was to take mine up to sort of the line of where it actually starts growing, there would be a massive gap there, because mine doesn't really grow the whole way to the lip. Then if you feel like they're spiking out too much, you can just get the comb, put that in, and then just whip them off nice in through there. You don't want to go too crazy with it, because then you would, if it's getting to a phase where it's like that, go to a professional, and that's the way you want to go with it through there. Another problem area when you're shaving is the cheek line, whereas a lot of people will try and shave that off because that feels very grubby and very dirty in through there when it grows. What you find is when people shave that, they then go too low with it, and what it does is it then comes down and comes almost to the lip line and works, and it's just very hard to maintain that then, because the density can be a little bit thicker through there. You take that off and you have to just shave that all the time, shave it. And I think part of the problem why it ends up getting lower is because people are using, say, a 5-blade razor or 3-blade, whatever it is, and you can't quite see and be intricate with it. So if you're doing that, obviously you're just going to keep nudging it, and then to balance it, you're going to go on the other side, and it just gets lower and lower. I would use a safety razor or use a cutthroat. If you're just using the cutthroat on your cheeks, it's not too hard to use. You can, as long as you're getting a bit of tension in through there, you can work out how to do it, and that's then going to be able to get it so it sits a little bit easier. The line that you want to focus on in through that area is, if you picture it from the top of your ear to the corner of your lip, that's really quite a nice line in through there. Now, as you can see with mine, my natural line is pretty much that. So there's only a couple of hairs that I have actually above my natural line that I just take off, and I don't really have to shave it because I don't really have the density in through there. But if it does grow up higher, then what you want, the line you want to focus on is a line that goes sort of from the top of the ear to the corner of your lip, and that's really quite a nice look then, because what that does is that keeps quite a lot of the density in through there. It makes it look like a beard, as opposed to if you start taking it down, when you're looking straight on, you think, oh, okay, well that looks all right from the corner of the lip in through there. But actually when you turn to the side, which is something you probably can't see yourself that much, is actually it looks really quite like just a strap, like a chin strap you've got, because really it comes down at really quite an angle and then comes across in through there. So it actually doesn't really look like a beard, it's more of a chin strap. And if you're trying to grow a beard, you're trying to have the fullness with it, so you don't want to be eating into that too much. Another thing to be then very mindful of is that actually on the jawline is where it then gets very heavy, so and underneath. So really what you want to do is reducing any bulk that sits through this area, and that would be more done by a professional, because when you start getting into that's then gets quite tricky to do. Obviously when it's very short, you haven't got to worry about that too much, but as it does keep growing and growing, the problem area that you'll get then they'll sit very heavy on the jawline and underneath the jawline, and then very heavy on the chin area, which then from the side it gives the illusion of the double chin. That's all excess weight. It's not really there because it's not the length on the chin, because if that's the same there as it is there, then actually it needs to come up underneath, because the length, if that's the same length and your chin goes back, then it's going to be longer. So that's all excess bulk that just needs to be removed, and that will then in turn be reduced underneath there as well. That's then where you'd go to a professional to really get that taken care of. So there's been videos where I've seen that actually people are really recommending keeping all of that bulk underneath there, but actually it's very naive, because actually that's not the length of the beard and that's not thickness, because the thickness comes from the other areas. Thickness comes from the fullness in through here, in through the chin area. Anything that's just sat underneath this area and sort of still on the jawline is just excess. It's all heaviness that's not there. Like when the amount of times when someone's saying, oh, I want to reduce all of, I want to keep all of the length, but I want you to tidy it up, and you start then trimming all that off, and they're like, oh, whoa, what's going on? Like we need to keep all that, and you're like, no, actually, take that off, and then you'll see at the end. And then as soon as you show them at the end, they're like, ah, right, okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense, because now it sits solid. It sits now in a line where it's actually, it can sit really nice and strong and not heavy. That's the problem. It's, you see things where it's all then popping out underneath there, makes it look fat, makes it look heavy, but it feels long because it's, I want a big beard. That all needs to come off, even when it's shorter as well. So that's the key for it. But if you are growing it, and the number one thing I would say is to go to a professional and have them tidy it up properly. The difference that it makes is massive. Even for myself, I trim my own beard, but if someone else was doing it, it would be so much better. I only have it short, so it's not going to make too much of a difference. The thing with it is, when you're doing it yourself, you're very much looking at it face on, like straight on as to how it looks, whereas you're not really thinking about it how it looks from the side too much, and can't quite gauge the angles from it through there. So really a professional, when they're looking at it from different angles, they can see it from a 3D angle and actually how it affects it from the side view, which is just as important. Obviously you want it to look good when you're looking at it straight on, but everyone else is looking at you from different angles. So it's key to get it done by a professional, is what I would say. Another top tip when you're growing your beard is to make sure that you hydrate your face underneath. It's something that a lot of guys forget about, and as it is getting longer, it's harder to actually work the moisturizer or the beard oil all the way into the skin. But you do really have to do that. You have to work really against the grain, get that the whole way in, actually, so that you don't get dry skin, don't get crusty flakes. That's a big problem that a lot of guys have when they start growing it, is that you then get these flakes coming off and through there, and it's obviously it's not great for you. It's not great for people seeing flakes in there. It's a bit embarrassing. So you want to make sure that you're hydrating the skin and all the way to the skin, not just the beard. Work it against the grain whole way in, and that makes a big difference with it as well. Well, I hope that helps with trying to grow your beard a little bit more. If you have any more questions for me, if you want to just send me a direct message, all my social media channels, they're going to be there and all linked down below. If you want to send me a message on Twitter, that's probably the easiest one to get hold of me and start a dialogue. Click on this caption now above where there is a video which will show you specifically how to put a nice clean line in underneath in the best way possible to be able to enhance your jawline, get rid of any excess bulk. There's plenty more videos over on my channel, plenty more Elliot Answers. There's also Elliot Asks, which is where I go and talk to industry professionals. They talk about the different trends with the hairstyles, different ways of being able to style your hair. Then yeah, if I've provided any value today, go and click subscribe. Have a great day, guys. Much love, Elliot.